He had everything: money, status, power. But the one woman who ever loved him walked away, and for 3 years, he chased her shadow. What happens when the woman he broke becomes the goddess he no longer deserves? Stay with me, because this isn't just a love story. It's a story of regret, transformation, and the brutal price of redemption. Before we begin the story, let us know where you're watching from by leaving a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy the story. Ethan Caldwell sat alone in his penthouse, 40 floors above Manhattan, drowning in silence. The world outside sparkled, Central Park stretching like a jeweled carpet beneath him, city lights flickering like stars. But inside, it was a mausoleum of marble, glass, and regret. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, the hour when ghosts were loudest, and hers never stopped whispering. "Forever," she had said to him, lying in his arms, naked and glowing on their wedding night. Sophia Hart, the only woman who had ever loved him, really loved him. The sound of her voice still echoed in his mind, soft and trembling with joy. Back then, he'd kissed her forehead and whispered, "Forever." What a lie that had been! With a sudden burst of rage, Ethan hurled a crystal tumbler across the room. It exploded against the wall, amber whiskey splattering in violent streaks down priceless stone. He stared at the mess with empty eyes. Even his anger felt expensive and pointless now. He'd built his life on luxury, status, and perfection, and none of it meant anything. At 35, he owned the kind of life people envied. The penthouse, the cars, the tailored suits, the art worth more than most people's homes. And yet, none of it filled the void she had left behind. None of it silenced the echo of her absence. 3 years, 2 months, 16 days. That's how long it had been since Sophia walked out of his life. He knew the exact count. Each morning, he'd wake up and mark another day lost. Another day in the prison of a life without her. Another punishment for the biggest mistake he'd ever made, destroying the only real love he had ever known. There was no laughter in this place anymore. No music humming from the kitchen as she danced around in one of his oversized shirts. No poetry readings in bed. No whispered "I love you" when she thought he was already asleep. Just silence. Deafening, endless silence. His phone lay dark on the counter. Once, it had buzzed every hour with messages from her. Photos of books she loved, little jokes, questions, hearts. She believed in him. Thought he was worth loving. She had been wrong. Sophia Hart wasn't just beautiful. She was radiant, curious, deep. She cried during commercials, talked to houseplants like they were friends, spun stories about strangers in the grocery store. She loved without fear or hesitation. She found beauty in forgotten things and made everything around her brighter. And what had he done? He dimmed her light, one cruel comment at a time, disguising control as concern. Maybe try that new gym downtown. That dress might look better a size up. Do you really need dessert? Each word had been a cut. He'd watched her shrink under the weight of trying to be enough for him. A vibrant, joyful woman slowly turned into a shadow. And he had been too arrogant, too blind, to see what he was doing. The end had come over dinner on their 2nd anniversary, at the same restaurant where he'd once proposed. She wore red, he remembered that, her favorite color, the one he'd always criticized as too loud. He had suggested plastic surgery between courses. "I know this amazing surgeon," he said, cutting into his halibut like a scalpel. "He could really help you with your proportions, maybe a tummy tuck, a little liposuction. I'd pay for everything, of course." Her fork never reached her mouth. "Is that really how you see me?" That's what she said. Just that. Quiet. Devastated. And in that moment, something shattered. Not loudly. No screaming. No scene. Just a deep, final breaking. She didn't cry. She didn't argue. She just stopped believing in the future they'd once planned. A week later, the divorce papers arrived. No alimony. No fight for assets. Not even the jewelry. She wanted out. Freedom. Air. She stood in the doorway of their bedroom with her suitcases packed, her face pale but certain. "This marriage is killing who I really am." And still, he let her go. Or rather, he pushed her out. convinced himself that he could find someone else, someone better, someone more suitable. What a joke. For the first year after the divorce, he drowned in models and actresses, women who complimented his intelligence, his wealth, his charm, women who looked perfect on paper, but left his bed as cold as his heart. None of them saw him. Not really. Not the way Sophia had. The second year was lonelier. A gnawing kind of emptiness took hold, something he couldn't drink away or decorate over. He began dreaming of her again. Sometimes naked, yes, but more often just there, reading in bed, stealing bites of his dinner, watching bad movies, laughing. And in those dreams, he was still the man she had once loved, still worthy of her. But the third year brought the worst part of all, clarity. He saw it now. Every insult disguised as advice. Every moment he'd asked her to be someone else. He hadn't wanted a partner. He'd wanted a project. He tried to surgically remove her softness because it didn't fit his warped idea of perfection. And in doing so, he destroyed the only thing that had ever been real in his life. Standing alone in his penthouse, Ethan felt the walls press in. He had everything money could buy, and nothing that mattered. His eyes drifted to the city, outside. So many lights, millions of lives, and somewhere among them, Sophia was building a new one. Without him, the idea of another man touching her, loving her, made his stomach twist. But what right did he have to feel anything? He'd had a goddess, and he treated her like she was ordinary. As the clock struck 4 a.m., he whispered a vow into the empty room. If I ever get the chance again, I'll be different. But even as he said it, he knew. Fairy tales didn't have sequels. Not for men like him. Ethan never believed in fate. He believed in deals, in strategy, in force. But that morning, after a sleepless night haunted by her memory, something pulled him to the street. He left the penthouse without a destination. No driver, no suit, just jeans, a black coat, and a strange ache in his chest he hadn't been able to name in years. The city was alive, crowded, cold, and moving faster than his thoughts. But Ethan walked slowly, like he was searching for something without knowing what. Every woman with brown hair became a possible shadow of Sophia. Every laugh that floated by sounded almost like hers, until it didn't. He ended up near 74th Street, somewhere close to the old bookstore they used to visit on Sundays. The Indigo Quill. They used to sit there for hours, her reading fiction, him pretending to read biographies while watching her secretly. It was one of the few places where he had allowed himself to feel real, human. The bell above the door jingled softly as he stepped inside. The scent of old paper and fresh coffee hit him like a memory. Nothing had changed. "Can I help you?" the woman at the counter asked. He shook his head. "Just browsing." He wandered the aisles. The romance section was still in the back corner, her favorite. As he approached, he noticed a girl sitting cross-legged on the floor with a stack of novels. She couldn't have been more than 10. She looked up as he passed and smiled shyly. Ethan nodded, unsure why her face stirred something in him. But then he heard it. "Be gentle with the pages. They're older than you." The voice. His breath caught. He turned too quickly, and for a second, time fractured. There she was, Sophia Hart, alive, radiant, and infinitely more beautiful than memory had dared to allow. She was standing behind the little girl, crouching to help her pick a book from the pile. Her hair was longer now, curled loosely over her shoulders. She wore no makeup, just that same natural glow that once used to fill their home. Sophia hadn't seen him yet. Ethan stood frozen between shelves, heart pounding like it had never pounded in boardrooms or billion-dollar deals. He wanted to run. He wanted to speak. He wanted to collapse. But she turned. Her eyes met his, and the world stopped. Sophia's smile vanished. Her hand fell from the book she was holding. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The silence between them was louder than anything either could have said. Then, gently, she placed a hand on the girl's shoulder. "Sweetheart," she said softly, "go choose something from the mystery section. I'll be right there." The girl obeyed and disappeared around the corner. Ethan took a cautious step forward. Sophia. Her name felt foreign in his mouth, like he didn't deserve to say it. She crossed her arms. Her face was unreadable. Ethan Caldwell, she said flatly. You're a long way from your marble tower. I didn't know you were still in the city. I never left, she replied. I just stopped living in your version of it. Ouch. Sharp. Clean. Just like she used to be, before he dulled her shine. I didn't come looking for you, he said honestly. I just ended up here. Right. Because billionaires always end up in tiny bookshops by accident. She was angry, but not in the fiery way he remembered. This anger was colder, matured, the kind that grows in the soil of betrayal. I think about you every day, he admitted. Don't, she said, cutting him off. Thinking about me doesn't erase what you did. I know, Ethan said quietly, but I needed to say it. Sophia looked at him for a long time. Her eyes scanned his face like they were looking for something. Some fragment of the man she once loved. Why now? I don't know, he said. Maybe because I finally see it. All of it. Who I was. What I did to you. I've tried to move on, but I can't. I don't want anyone else. I just want the chance to apologize. Really apologize. She exhaled, frustrated. Ethan, I spent years trying to unlearn all the lies you made me believe about myself. Years wondering if I was ever enough. You think saying sorry fixes that? No, he said honestly. I don't. He stepped closer. But I would give everything I have to earn back even 1 second of your respect. Silence again. Then, to his surprise, Sophia's expression softened. Just a little. You've changed, she said. I can see that. But it doesn't change what happened. She turned away. I'm not that woman anymore, Ethan. And you're not the man I married. He nodded. No. But maybe that's a good thing. Sophia glanced back at him, her eyes stormy with emotion. I'm not making promises. I'm not opening doors. I'm not asking you to, he said gently. I just wanted to see you, to know you're okay. She paused. I'm okay. Then the little girl returned, clutching a new book. Mom, I found one. Mom? Ethan's world tilted again. Sophia placed a hand on the child's back. Good choice, baby. Mom? Was she hers? His? Ethan looked at Sophia, stunned. She met his gaze and nodded slightly, as if reading his thoughts. We should go, she said, turning toward the register. Wait, he said, voice trembling. Is she? Sophia hesitated, then turned back with a tired look in her eyes. Not today, Ethan. And with that she walked away, child in hand, past the shelves of forgotten dreams, leaving Ethan standing in the ruins of a world he thought he'd already lost. Only now he realized he hadn't even seen the full cost yet. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the skyline with bloodshot eyes, mind spinning with one question that now consumed every inch of his soul. Was she my daughter? The little girl, brown curls, wide eyes, that same subtle dimple on her left cheek when she smiled. Ethan had seen it once in the mirror. She looked just like Sophia, but there were pieces of him in her face too, weren't there? His hands trembled. All the regrets, the mistakes, the cruel words, they were one thing. But this? If Sophia had carried a child, his child, and he had been absent for every moment of her life, it was a kind of pain he hadn't prepared for. He had missed her first steps, her first words, her first everything. And Sophia hadn't told him. He deserved that silence. Didn't he? But it burned. The next morning, Ethan stood outside the Indigo Quill again, dressed plainly, no driver, no assistant. The same woman from the register gave him a curious look when he entered, but he said nothing. Sophia wasn't there. He returned the next day, and the next. For 5 days, he waited like a ghost haunting the corner of the store, hoping she'd reappear with the little girl who might be his. On the 6th day, the woman at the counter approached him. You looking for someone? Ethan hesitated. I ran into someone here. An old friend. Brown hair, soft voice, little girl named Lily? Lily. The name hit him like lightning. Yes, he said, barely breathing. Her. The woman nodded. She's a regular. Comes in every Friday around 3. But you might want to keep your distance. Why? Because I've seen that look before, she said, eyes narrowing. It's the look of a man who's already done the damage. Ethan didn't argue. He just nodded. Because she was right. Friday came like a storm cloud. Ethan arrived early. Sat on a bench across the street with a coffee he didn't touch. When the bookstore door finally opened and Sophia walked in, hand in hand with Lily, something inside him cracked wide open. They were beautiful. The way they laughed together. How Sophia knelt down to tie Lily's shoelace with a kiss on the forehead afterward. The rhythm of mother and daughter, perfectly in tune. He didn't deserve to break that. But he also couldn't walk away. He crossed the street and stood at the entrance, heart pounding. Sophia turned before he could even say her name. She was good at that, sensing him. Not here, she said firmly. I'm not here to fight, he said. Just to ask a question. Sophia looked at Lily, who was already darting toward the corner with a book in hand. Then she stepped outside with him, pulling her coat tighter. You should go, Ethan. I just need to know, is she mine? Sophia's jaw tightened. Please, he added. I'm not asking for anything. If I have a daughter out there, I need to know. I deserve to know. For a long moment, she didn't say anything. Then, with a heavy breath, she answered. Yes. Ethan's breath caught. His chest collapsed inward. Yes, she repeated. Lily is your daughter. The world shifted beneath him. The noise of the street dimmed. He felt like he was falling and floating at the same time. I didn't tell you, she continued, because you weren't the kind of man who should have raised her. And I stand by that. He swallowed hard. I understand. Sophia stared at him, eyes glistening. Do you? Do you really understand what it's like to carry a child while heartbroken? To sing lullabies through tears, to explain why there's no daddy in the picture, without teaching her to hate you. I want to meet her, he said softly. Sophia flinched. Absolutely not. I don't want to take anything from you. I just want a chance. One chance to be a part of her life. Not as the man I was, but the one I'm trying to become. Sophia's face was unreadable. You left us, Ethan. Even if you didn't know, you left us. I had to become mother and father. I had to bury the girl who used to believe in you, because she would have forgiven you too quickly. Tears welled in Ethan's eyes. He didn't care that it was in public. Didn't care who saw. He had spent years trying to become the man the world respected. Now, all he wanted was to be the man his daughter could love. I'll do whatever it takes, he said. If I have to prove myself, if I have to start with zero, I will. But don't shut the door without giving me the chance to knock. Sophia looked away. I can't promise anything. That's fair. She turned to go, then stopped. She doesn't know about you, she said. She thinks her father died before she was born. Ethan froze. Why? Sophia looked back at him. Because I thought it was kinder than the truth. And then she walked inside. That night, Ethan sat in front of an old photo album. The one Sophia had left behind in their apartment, the only thing she hadn't taken. He opened it with trembling hands. Photos of their honeymoon, her silly faces, notes in the margins in her handwriting. He hadn't looked at it in 3 years. And now it was all he had. He flipped to a blank page at the back, then opened a drawer and pulled out a Polaroid camera he hadn't touched in years. He snapped a photo of himself, no suit, no arrogance. Just a man stripped bare. Then he taped it to the page and wrote in shaky letters beneath. For Lily, the first day of my real life. He closed the album. It was time to fight. Not for redemption. Not for forgiveness. But for the right to call himself a father. The next morning, Ethan woke up before the sun. Not to attend a board meeting. Not to review market projections. But to stand in front of his own mirror, facing the man he had spent years building, and then years running from. He didn't like what he saw. So, he started breaking him down, piece by piece. He called his assistant and canceled every unnecessary meeting. Put his team in charge of his investments. Told them he was stepping back, indefinitely. There were gasps, confusion. A few people assumed a scandal. Let them. This was personal. He donated 3 of his tailored suits. Then 5 more. Then all of them. He kept 2. Not because they were useful, but because Sophia once said he looked good in navy blue. After lunch, he called his therapist. Not the one he paid to feel powerful around, but the one Sophia used to beg him to see before everything fell apart. Dr. Patel. Warm. Direct. Unimpressed by money. He booked the first available session. By evening, he found himself standing outside a community center on the Lower East Side, volunteering. He had no experience, but he offered time. He cleaned bathrooms, unloaded boxes. He was ignored, unrecognized. And for the first time in years, he felt useful. Days passed, then a week, and still no contact from Sophia. He didn't try to reach her. He didn't push. Instead, he focused on learning how to live a life that wasn't wrapped in gold. He read books on fatherhood, on emotional intelligence, on humility. He volunteered every morning, then spent afternoons in therapy, evenings walking without headphones, listening to the rhythm of a city he used to dominate, but never really saw. On the 9th day, his phone buzzed. A number he didn't recognize. One new message. Lily has ballet at 5 o'clock today. Studio on 9th and Mercer. If you come, stand in the back. Don't approach her. Don't talk. Just watch. S. Ethan's heart nearly stopped. He didn't respond. Just stared at the message, eyes wet. It was happening. The door wasn't open, but a crack of light had found its way through. At 4:30, Ethan stood outside the studio. He wore jeans, a soft sweater, and nervous hope. The woman at the reception desk let him in after a quick phone call. He entered the small viewing room, tucked in the shadows behind a one-way glass window. And then there she was, Lily, pink tights, tiny black leotard, hair in a crooked bun. She twirled clumsily, arms out, laughing when she nearly tripped. Her joy was electric, free. Ethan watched, spellbound. Every gesture, every smile a miracle. When the music changed, she danced with her group. No rhythm, just raw happiness. And in that moment, Ethan felt something shift inside him. He hadn't just missed time. He'd missed wonder. A whole world had bloomed in his absence, and he'd never known it was there. Then, Sophia stepped into view. She stood quietly by the door, arms folded. She wasn't watching the other children, just Lily. Her face was soft, her eyes proud. Ethan watched her watching their daughter, and it broke him in the best way. When class ended, Sophia disappeared with Lily through a side door. Ethan waited, didn't chase, didn't speak. He just walked home, grateful. The following Friday, another text. She's drawing in the park at noon tomorrow. Central Park, East Meadow. You can watch again. Same rules. Ethan showed up, carrying nothing but a quiet heart. Lily sat under a tree with crayons scattered around her. She was talking to herself, narrating her drawings like she was filming a show. Sophia sat nearby, reading. Ethan stood far back, near the path, watching, smiling, until Lily stood up and shouted into the air, "Mom, that man's here again." Sophia looked up, startled. Ethan froze. Lily waved at him. "Hi." Sophia walked to her quickly, knelt down, and whispered something. Lily nodded. Sophia looked up and met his eyes. Then, to his shock, she waved too. It wasn't a warm wave. But it wasn't a dismissal either. It was acknowledgement, permission. And for Ethan, it was enough. That night, he wrote a letter. Not to Sophia. To Lily. He didn't send it. Just folded it and kept it in the same photo album, under his picture. "Dear Lily, you don't know me yet, but I know you. I see you twirl, and I feel my heart spin with you. I see you laugh, and I wonder what I did to ever deserve to be near that sound. I wasn't ready to be your father when I should have been. I was arrogant, blind, afraid. But now, every step I take is for you. I don't expect your love, or your trust, but I'll earn them day by day, smile by smile. I love you even from afar. The man who hopes to be your dad someday." Sophia didn't text again for a week. Then, "She has a question. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock, same bench at the bookstore. Don't be late." Ethan stared at the message. Lily had a question? He reread the words a dozen times. Then he smiled. It wasn't the end of the journey. But it might just be the beginning. Ethan arrived at the bookstore 20 minutes early. He paced outside the Indigo Quill, heart pounding harder than it ever had during a business acquisition or public speech. This wasn't about reputation or negotiation. This was about truth. He sat on the wooden bench just outside the shop, hands clasped between his knees, elbows tight. The same bench where he and Sophia had once shared coffee and argued over which author made better metaphors. Now, he waited for a little girl he'd only watched from a distance. At 11:01, Sophia appeared, holding Lily's hand. Lily wore a yellow dress with pink sneakers and carried a small green notebook. She looked up at Ethan with wide, curious eyes. Sophia gave him a single nod, then stepped back just far enough to give them space, but not leave them alone. Lily approached slowly, then stopped in front of him, tilting her head. "You're the man from the park," she said. Ethan smiled gently. "Yes, that's me. You were at my ballet class too." "I was," he said. "You dance beautifully." She squinted. "Why do you keep watching me?" Ethan's throat tightened. He looked at Sophia, then back at Lily. "Because," he said slowly, "you're very special to me." Lily blinked. "Mom said I could ask you something." "Of course." She opened her little notebook and flipped to a crayon drawing. Two stick figures holding hands. One had long hair. The other had a tiny crown. She said I could ask you. Lily looked up, her voice suddenly smaller. "Are you my dad?" The words hit Ethan like a tidal wave. He nodded, eyes stinging. "Yes, Lily. I'm your dad." She stared at him for a long time. Not upset. Not smiling either. Just processing. "Did you die?" she asked. "That's what Mommy used to say." Ethan looked at Sophia again. She wasn't looking away. Her arms were folded tightly, her jaw set. "No," he said softly. "I didn't die. But I wasn't there when I should have been. And that was very wrong." "Why?" Lily asked. "Because I made a lot of mistakes. I hurt your mom, and I wasn't ready to be a good father." Lily narrowed her eyes. "Are you ready now?" Ethan smiled. "I'm trying every day to be. I don't expect you to trust me yet. But I hope, maybe one day, you'll let me show you that I can be." Lily glanced at Sophia, then sat down on the bench next to Ethan. "Do you like unicorns?" she asked. He blinked. I've never met one, but I think they're magical." She smiled. "Good answer." Ethan let out a quiet breath. "Do you have a favorite ice cream?" she asked, flipping to a new page in her notebook and starting to draw. "Mint chocolate chip," he said. "Ugh," she said dramatically. "That's like toothpaste with sprinkles." He laughed. She paused, looking up at him again. "Do dads come to ballet shows?" Ethan's heart caught in his throat. "Yes, they do. And, if you let me, I'll be at every single one." Lily nodded, then kept drawing. Sophia finally stepped closer. "Lily, ready to go?" Lily looked at Ethan. "You can walk with us, if you want." Sophia hesitated. Ethan did too. But then Sophia gave the slightest nod. And so, for the first time, Ethan walked beside his daughter. Not in silence, not in guilt, but in hope. The walk was short, but unforgettable. Lily chattered nonstop. About school, her favorite teacher, how she once named all the squirrels in the park. Ethan listened like every word was treasure. At the corner, Sophia stopped. "This is our street," she said. Ethan looked at her, waiting. "You've had your moment. Let's keep it small for now." "I understand." Sophia looked at him, expression unreadable. "She likes you," she said. "I like her more than I can say." Sophia nodded, then reached into her bag and pulled out a folded sheet of paper. It was a list. Rules. No showing up unannounced. No gifts over $20. No photos without permission. No lies. No promises you won't keep. Ethan took the list and read it slowly. Then he folded it carefully and placed it in his wallet. "I'll follow every single one." Sophia searched his face for signs of arrogance, of manipulation, of the man he used to be. She found none. "Let's take it one day at a time," she said. "I can live with that." Sophia turned and walked with Lily down the block. Lily looked back once, waved, and shouted, "Bye, Dad." And for the first time in Ethan Caldwell's life, The word didn't sound like a title. It sounded like a gift. Ethan arrived at the cafe early. It was their second official meeting, a short ice cream date, fully supervised by Sophia, per the rules. Lily had picked the place herself. She said it had the best vanilla on earth, and Ethan wouldn't dare argue with that kind of authority. He wore a sweater Lily had complimented the first day they met. "You look less like a boss and more like a dad in that," and carried a book tucked under his arm. Lily loved stories. She told him so last time. So Ethan had gone to 3 different bookstores looking for one she hadn't read yet. Finally, he found a hand-illustrated fairy tale about a girl who helped a grumpy dragon find his missing heart. When they arrived, Lily ran ahead of Sophia and greeted him with a high five. "Guess what?" she beamed. "I lost a tooth." "No way," Ethan said, pretending shock. "Did it run off or jump out?" "Jumped. During breakfast. It landed in my cereal and scared me so bad I spilled milk on Mr. Tibbles." "Mr. Tibbles?" Ethan asked. "My stuffed raccoon. He's very sensitive." Ethan laughed. Sophia, trailing behind, gave him a soft, warning glance. But there was no tension this time. She wasn't relaxed exactly, but she wasn't bracing for disaster either. They sat at a corner table, Lily in the middle. "I brought you something," Ethan said, pulling the book from under his arm. Lily gasped when she saw the cover. The girl and the missing heart. Her fingers traced the drawing. "Did you draw this?" "No," Ethan said, "but I thought the girl reminded me of someone brave I know." She lit up. "Can we read it together?" Sophia raised an eyebrow. Ethan looked at her. "Only if Mom says it's okay." Sophia paused, then nodded slowly. 1 chapter. They read together, voices low, as people passed around them, none aware of the quiet miracle unfolding at that table. When Lily giggled at the dragon's stubbornness, Ethan's chest swelled with something deeper than joy. It was belonging. As the days passed, a routine emerged. Tuesdays, walks in the park. Fridays, drawing dates at the bookstore. Sundays, story time in the cafe, always with Sophia close by. Ethan never pushed, never asked for more. He followed every rule. When Lily asked if he could meet Mr. Tibbles in person, Sophia said no. Too soon. And Ethan nodded. When Lily wanted to show him her school project, Sophia allowed it, but through photos only. And when Lily asked if he had any bedtime stories from when he was a kid, Ethan told her the truth. "I don't remember a lot of them. My parents weren't storytellers. But I'd love to make new ones with you." Lily grinned. "Okay. But mine have to include at least 1 raccoon and 0 kissing." "Deal." One Sunday evening, after they parted ways, Sophia texted him. She asked if you'd be at her school recital next month. I told her I'd think about it. Ethan stared at the message. Just the possibility of being part of Lily's public world made him breathless. He replied simply, "Thank you for considering it. Whatever your decision, I'm grateful." 10 minutes later, Sophia sent another text. "Don't make me regret this." That week, Ethan met with Dr. Patel again. He spoke about guilt, about fatherhood, about the part of himself he'd hidden for years, the boy who had never been told he was good enough. Dr. Patel said something that stuck with him. Sometimes real healing begins when we learn to become the parent we never had. It echoed through Ethan's mind for days. He remembered being 9 years old, sitting outside his father's office, too scared to knock. Remembered the coldness in his mother's voice. Remembered thinking love had to be earned with silence and perfection. He didn't want that for Lily. So he rewrote his story. He didn't want to be a better version of his father. He wanted to be a brand new one. 2 weeks later, Sophia approached him after one of their bookstore afternoons. "Lily wants to know where you live," she said carefully. Ethan hesitated. "Why?" She said she just wants to know if you have crayons. I told her I'd ask. He smiled. "Tell her I have 36. All new." Sophia looked at him, studying his face. Then, unexpectedly, she said, "She asked if you ever sing." Ethan blinked. "Sing." She said, "He talks like music. Maybe he sings like music too." He laughed. "Tell her I only sing in the shower, and only when I'm winning arguments with the shampoo bottle." Sophia didn't laugh. She just looked at him, long and quiet. Finally, she said, "She's growing attached. Be careful." I am. No, Ethan. I mean, be careful with yourself too. That stopped him. I'm not here to fall back in love, she said. I'm here for my daughter. Ethan nodded. I know, but a small voice inside him whispered, I already felt the moment you said, "Are you my dad?" He didn't say it out loud. Not yet. That night, Ethan updated the photo album again. He added a new page. A drawing Lily had made for him, a stick figure with a crown standing next to a raccoon. Beneath it, she had written in purple crayon, My dad is learning. I think that's brave. He stared at the words for a long time, then wrote underneath, My daughter believes in me. That's everything. And as he closed the album, he smiled. For the first time in years, he felt like he was becoming the man he'd always needed to be. Not for himself, but for her. The invitation came on a Tuesday. A hand-drawn card, folded into quarters and delivered by Lily herself during their usual cafe visit. She handed it to Ethan with a flourish and the proud smile of someone granting the highest honor. On the front, in pink marker, it read, You're invited, but only if you bring cookies. Inside, beneath a stick figure drawing of a girl on stage, were the details. Lily's school recital. Friday at 6 p.m. Second row, left side, we saved you a seat. Cookies optional, but strongly encouraged. Ethan smiled, so wide he thought his face might split. He looked at Sophia, who stood at the cafe counter pretending not to watch. She really wants you there, she said softly when he approached her. I'll be there, he replied, voice steady but emotional. She studied his face for a moment. Don't make it about you. Don't dress like a CEO. Just be a dad. He nodded. I promise. Friday arrived like a storm and a sunrise. Ethan left his penthouse in sneakers and a soft navy sweater, one Lily had picked out during a window shopping walk. He carried a tin of oatmeal cookies, homemade by a woman from a community center where he volunteered. He arrived 20 minutes early and found his seat in the second row. His name was written in purple crayon on a piece of paper taped to the backrest. Mr. Ethan, a.k.a. Lily's dad. He sat down slowly, afraid it might disappear if he moved too fast. Other parents filtered in. Laughter. Balloons. Siblings running around with sticky fingers. It wasn't his world, yet. But for once, he didn't feel like an outsider. He felt like a man lucky enough to be let in. When the lights dimmed and the music started, Ethan clutched the program and waited. Lily came out fourth. She wore a lavender dress with silver glitter, and her crooked ponytail bounced as she twirled. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. She wasn't the best dancer. Her timing was off. She stepped on her partner's foot at one point. But she smiled the entire time, and once, just once, she looked into the crowd, found him, and waved. A small wave. Barely a flick of her fingers. But he felt it in every cell of his body. She had found him, chosen him. And in that moment, nothing else mattered. After the show, parents gathered outside in the schoolyard. Ethan stood near the gate, waiting respectfully. Lily came running, breathless and glowing with pride. Did you see? I didn't fall this time. You were amazing, he said. Best performance of the night. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a friendship bracelet made of colored string. I made it in class. It's for you. He took it like it was made of diamonds. Now we match, she said, holding up her wrist to show a similar one. Then Sophia joined them. She looked tired, but not tense. Lily, go grab your coat, she said. We'll meet you by the tree. When the girl ran off, Sophia turned to Ethan. She asked her teacher if it was okay to save you a seat. Said she wanted to see your face when she danced. Ethan smiled. I'll never forget it. Sophia hesitated, then asked something she hadn't dared until now. Why didn't you fight for me back then? The question hit hard, not because it was unfair, but because it was long overdue. Ethan took a breath. I thought love was control, that if I could mold you into what I thought I needed, it would make me feel safe. I thought bending you was easier than facing myself. Sophia's eyes shimmered, but she didn't look away. And now I know love is letting someone be fully who they are, and being lucky enough that they let you stay. Silence fell between them. Then Sophia whispered, "I'm still angry." "You have every right to be. But I'm also watching." He nodded. "I'll keep showing up." She turned to go, but before she did, she added, "She wants you at her birthday next month. It's a tea party. Costumes required." "Do I get to pick?" "No," Sophia said, cracking a smile. "She already assigned you the Frog Prince." Ethan laughed for the first time in days. "I'll practice my rib bit." That night, he placed the bracelet next to the photo album. He didn't tape it down, just set it gently on top, like a crown over all the moments that led him here. He opened to the latest page. A photo of Lily on stage, her arms mid-spin, her eyes full of fire. Beneath it, he wrote, "Not just a dancer. My daughter. My light." Then, without overthinking it, he opened a new page, blank, untouched. And at the top, he wrote, "Sophia." He didn't write anything else. Not yet. But he would, when the time was right. The day of Lily's birthday party arrived with sunshine and the faint scent of cupcakes in the air. Ethan stood outside Sophia's apartment building, holding a pink-wrapped gift and adjusting the ridiculous green felt Frog Prince costume Lily had personally requested. He had practiced the croak. He had studied tea party etiquette on YouTube. He had even memorized the names of Lily's stuffed animals because she warned him there would be introductions. He rang the buzzer. Sophia answered, opening the door with a smirk. "You're late, Your Highness." "I had to fight off a dragon for parking," Ethan said, adjusting his plastic crown. She said, trying not to laugh. "Come in." Inside, the apartment was warm and filled with soft decorations, balloons, streamers, a tiny table set with plastic teacups and paper doilies. There were a few other children already seated, wearing cardboard tiaras and superhero capes. Parents lingered quietly in the background. But none of it mattered, because Lily was standing in the center of the living room, wearing a sparkly purple dress and holding Mr. Tibbles in one arm and a plastic wand in the other. She squealed when she saw Ethan. "You came," she shouted, running into his arms. He scooped her up, spinning once as she laughed. "I wouldn't miss this for the world," he said. "You look exactly like a frog prince," she declared. "Handsome, I hope." "No," she giggled. "Squishy." The tea party was a royal affair. Lily had written a script and assigned everyone roles. Ethan was responsible for guarding the royal teapot and offering polite rib bits between sips. One of the girls demanded he speak only in frog for 5 whole minutes, and he did it, to roaring laughter. Sophia moved through the room like a calm queen herself, serving cupcakes, helping tie capes, making sure juice boxes didn't explode. At one point, Ethan caught her smiling, really smiling, when Lily made him wear a second tiara on top of his frog crown. Their eyes met, and in that moment, neither of them said a word. But something soft passed between them. After the children had eaten and opened gifts, Lily pulled Ethan aside to her room. "Close your eyes," she commanded. He obeyed, crouching down. He heard her rummage through a drawer. Then she placed something cold and metal in his hands. "Okay, open." He looked down. A keychain. It was shaped like a crown, with the word Dad etched into the side in glitter paint. "I made it at school," she said, suddenly shy. "You can keep it on your keys so you don't forget you're mine now." Ethan's throat closed. "I'll never forget," he said, hugging her gently. "You're the best gift I've ever been given." Later that evening, after most guests had left and Lily was busy inspecting her new coloring set, Ethan helped Sophia clear the table. "You didn't have to go so hard on the costume," she said, rinsing plates. She gave me a roll. I took it seriously. Sophia glanced at him, a flicker of amusement in her eyes. "You looked ridiculous." He leaned closer. "You smiled." She paused, then nodded. "Yeah, I did." For a long moment, the kitchen was quiet except for the water running. Then Ethan said softly, "Thank you for letting me be part of today." Sophia looked at him, then away. "She loves you. I love her too." Sophia nodded. "I can see that." There was another silence. But this one wasn't heavy. It was comfortable, familiar, like something long buried was beginning to stir. Then Lily called from a living room. "Mom, Dad, we're starting the next tea ceremony." They both froze at the word. "Dad." Sophia looked at him. You okay? Ethan smiled, a tear slipping down his cheek. I've never been better. That night, back in his apartment, Ethan opened the photo album once more. He added the keychain drawing Lily had made a week earlier. Underneath, he wrote, "Today, she called me Dad." Out loud, in front of the world. And I think my heart finally came back to life. Then he turned the page labeled Sophia. For the first time, he began to write. She smiled, and I saw the girl I broke begin to trust again. He stopped writing, closed the book, because some moments didn't need more words. They just needed to be felt. Spring brought rain to the city. Soft at first, light drizzles that made the pavement shimmer. Then heavier. Streets overflowed. Umbrellas turned inside out. And with the storm came something Ethan never expected. A call from Sophia. Not a text. Not an invitation. A call. He answered before the second ring. Ethan, her voice was tight. Urgent. It's Lily. She's sick. His heart dropped. She woke up with a fever and was shaking. I'm taking her to the ER. I didn't know who else to. I'm on my way, he said, already grabbing his coat. Which hospital? By the time Ethan arrived, Sophia was pacing the sterile hallway, her coat soaked through. Her eyes snapped up the moment she saw him. She's in with the doctor, she said. They said it might be a viral thing, but she's burning up and she couldn't stop crying. Without thinking, he pulled her into an embrace. And, for the first time in years, she didn't resist. She folded into him, silent tears falling. He held her as tightly as she would let him, whispering, "She's strong. Like her mom." Sophia pulled back slightly, but didn't let go of his hand. They waited. Minutes passed. Then an hour. The storm outside raged, but inside the room was still, heavy with tension and shared fear. Finally, the pediatrician came out. "She's going to be okay," he said gently. "It's a strong flu virus, but we've got her hydrated, and the fever is under control. We'll keep her overnight for observation." Ethan exhaled. Sophia's knees buckled slightly, and he caught her before she fell. Inside the hospital room, Lily lay small and pale beneath a pile of blankets, and 4 dripped beside her bed. She blinked slowly when she saw them. "Mom. Dad." Sophia sat at one side of the bed. Ethan took the other. "I'm here, sweetheart," he said softly, brushing a curl from her forehead. "I don't like hospitals." "I don't either," he said. "But this one has princess jello. I heard it glows in the dark." Lily gave a tired giggle. "Liar." "True. But I had to try." They sat with her for hours, reading her stories, holding her hands when she got scared. When she finally drifted off, Sophia leaned back in her chair, exhausted. "You didn't have to come," she whispered. "Yes, I did," Ethan replied. "She's our daughter." Sophia stared at the sleeping girl, then turned to him. "I'm scared." Ethan's voice cracked. "So am I." He paused, then added, "But this is what it means. To be a family. To show up in the worst moments, not just the easy ones." Sophia looked at him for a long time. Then, finally, she said, "You're not the man I used to know. I'm trying not to be." Her eyes softened. "It's working." The next morning, Lily's fever had broken. She was sitting up, sipping juice, and demanding a coloring book. When the nurse came in with discharge papers, Sophia hesitated. "She should come home with me." Ethan nodded. "Of course." Sophia looked at him, uncertain. "But maybe you could stay with us? Just for the night, in case it comes back." He froze. "You mean at your place?" She nodded. "I'll sleep on the couch," he offered quickly. "You'll sleep in the guest room." "I'm not cruel," she said with a faint smile. Ethan blinked, emotions bubbling to the surface. "Thank you," he whispered. Sophia didn't answer, but she reached for his hand and didn't let go. That evening, Ethan sat in the guest room of Sophia's apartment, watching Lily draw from the doorway. She was back to her usual self, bossing her stuffed animals around like a tiny queen. Sophia came up beside him. "She missed you when you weren't around." Ethan looked at her, surprised. "She told me once," Sophia added. She said, "I like when he smiles. It makes the room less quiet." Ethan swallowed hard. "She does that to me too," he said. Sophia turned to face him fully. I don't know what this means, Ethan. I don't know where we're going. He stepped closer. We don't need to know. We just need to keep walking the same direction. She nodded slowly. I'm not ready to love you again, she whispered. But are you ready to let me keep loving both of you? He asked. Tears filled her eyes. She nodded again. And for the first time since their world shattered, they stood together on the edge of something new. Months passed. Seasons changed. The Frog Prince costume was retired, but the title remained. Ethan was no longer just the man who showed up. He was the man who stayed. Every Tuesday, he walked Lily to school. Every Sunday, they baked what she called experimental cookies, some with jelly beans, some with cereal, one with pickles, which they never spoke of again. Every night, they said goodnight on video calls, with stories Ethan made up on the spot, tales about raccoons with secret lives and dragons who cried glitter. Sophia watched it all unfold with cautious grace. She still held back sometimes, still had moments where the old wounds rose up like ghosts. But they weren't sharp anymore. They were fading, scarred over by time, and Ethan's quiet consistency. He never made promises he couldn't keep. And over time, that became the greatest promise of all. One evening in early summer, Ethan found himself sitting on the balcony of Sophia's apartment. The sky was pink and gold. Lily was inside, asleep, her arms around Mr. Tibbles. Sophia came out holding 2 mugs. Tea, she said. No sugar. I'm evolving, he said with a smile. They sat in silence, watching the city hum below. Then Sophia turned to him. Do you remember what I told you the day she called you Dad? He nodded. Be careful. And you were. He waited. She placed her mug down, turning her body toward him. You asked once if I could ever forgive you. I couldn't answer then, but I can now. Ethan's breath caught. I do, she said softly. I forgive you, Ethan. Tears slid down his cheeks. I don't deserve it. No, she said. But you earned it. She reached out and touched his hand. And that's even better. A week later, Lily's class had a family day picnic. Parents were invited to bring homemade meals, sit in the grass, and celebrate being together. Ethan brought sandwiches shaped like stars. Sophia brought lemonade. Lily brought chaos and glitter. They sat under a tree, the 3 of them, eating, laughing, sharing stories. When it was time to go, Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. Dad. Yeah. Can we write a book one day? Like a real one. About a frog prince and a raccoon who saved a mom from a tower. He smiled. Only if we write it together. She nodded. Okay. But I get to do the drawings. Deal. She leaned in and kissed his cheek. I'm glad you came back. He looked at Sophia. She was watching them with soft eyes. So am I, he whispered. That night, Ethan opened the photo album one last time. He turned to the very first page. A photo of Sophia, young, fierce, beautiful. The woman who once loved him enough to leave him, because she had to protect herself and her daughter. He turned to the middle. Photos of Lily, of story time, of tea parties and tiaras, laughter frozen in time. Then he turned to the last page. Blank. He picked up a pen and wrote, Home isn't where you live. It's who you choose to love over and over again, especially when they don't have to let you back in. This is our home now, and I'll never leave again. He closed the book, not with an end, but with a beginning. If this story touched your heart, if you believe in second chances, in healing, in love that grows stronger through pain, don't forget to like and subscribe. Because here we tell stories that remind you it's never too late to come home. ***. Thank you for watching. Have a beautiful day.